Hey everybody, it is 521, week number 8. Very simple, straightforward this week. Discussion board is kind of reflection. What's one thing you learned? Just remember that final responses are due Friday by midnight. Same with your final paper, your school equity reflection paper that is due Friday by midnight. This course ends on Friday by midnight. My grades are due Sunday, so please, please, please make sure everything is submitted by Friday. The equity paper is two parts. Part one, you are going to do a 2 to 3 page reflection, um, looking at one of your focus inequity subgroups. You're going to integrate the results of your survey, and it's going to be about making a critical evaluation of equity in your school, like your actual school. And so the survey is going to come into play. 2 to 3 pages is, relatively small. Make sure it's APA formatted with the right cover page, references, and then part two, you're going to create a 5 slide presentation. Strongly, strongly, strongly urge you to have big visuals. Please do not submit bullet points. Um, if you need help, just Google death by PowerPoint. You can use speaker notes if you need to have bullet points, but it should be strong visuals communicating um, what you want. Like it should be that should be like the memorable thing, the sticky thing. You look at the thing, you're like, oh, I remember that picture of the thing. Whether it's like an analogy, whether it's somebody kind of acting something out, whether it's an actual example of um, one of those subgroups and like a visualization of what it doesn't look like, like well taken photos of like stairs going up into the auditorium and being like, let's talk about, physical accessibility. Everybody goes up these stairs unless you can't go upstairs. Um, where you don't want 5 bullet points of like, here's the ADA guidelines, here's I almost said APA guidelines. Can you imagine? Um, it's bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Here's the district policy. Like, we don't want that. We do want strong visuals. Show, don't tell. Um, and then if you're worried that I will look at it and be like, these are 5 random images, that's what the presenter notes are for. The last thing I will warn you against is please do not use Microsoft Clip Art from 2000. That is now 25 years ago. Find strong, compelling images. If you've not dipped your toe into using AI to create artwork and photos, um, this might be a time to do it. There's a handful of free ways to do that. You can just Google generative AI artwork. I tend to these days use the paid version of ChatGPT to generate artwork, but there's lots and lots of options. That tends to be my go-to, and it tends to have like a very particular feel to it with kind of color palette and like futuristic thing. You can also, and this works on nearly every platform, specify the style you want. And so one thing that I tend to gravitate to, I don't know why it's called this, but it's called like paper dolls. They're like it ends up being like a 3D paper artwork where it looks like somebody actually like bent kind of origami looking things um, in the style of it. So it kind of like the default is like futuristic things like bright blues and teals and yellows, and then you like make it paper dolls. And then suddenly it's a very like almost kind of tactile looking thing. That's one of my particular go-tos when I'm like, that looks super AI generated. Um, anyway, no pressure to do that. You're welcome to do that. If you don't take your own photos or use generative AI to create the artwork, then just make sure you're using images you're allowed to use. Creative Commons has a search feature where you're able to look for stuff that is licensed with Creative Commons so that you're not stealing it. Do not just do an image search on Google or whatever web browser you're using to search. Don't search, right click and save. um, you don't have permission to use those. So make sure you are using images that you're allowed to use that are licensed to use, and just make it look good. worry less about bullet points, worry more about it looking good. Fair enough. And that's all for week 8. Happy week 8, everybody. If you have any questions, reach out. If not, then happy 521.